Hi there, my name is Jorge Ramon and I run the MiamiCoder.com website where I teach developers how to create mobile applications. In this video tutorial, I want to show you how to wireframe the user interface for the sign-in sequence in a mobile app. The sign-in sequence is the screens that you present to users when they already have an account with the app and you need to capture their credentials and make sure that you authenticate them and then lead them to a landing zone in the app from where they can access the different features. This tutorial that I have for you today is divided in two parts or phases. It's one video, but it's two parts. One is actually creating a workflow with a flow diagram depicting the different screens involved in the sign-in sequence. The second part would be the creation of the actual wireframes. Let's get started with the first phase of the tutorial. I'll drop a call out on the design surface here to mark the start of the application. So this would be when the user runs your app on their device. And set an arrow that will take us to the first screen of the sign-in sequence. Then a rectangle to symbolize the screen, and a text block that we'll use to describe what happens inside that screen. And what happens there is that you will want to ask people, if you already have an account, well, sign in. If you don't have an account, sign up. So in that screen, what you want to do is provide paths to sign in or sign up, depending on whether the person has already an account or not with the app. So this is my sign up, sign in screen. Center this text block. And following that step is your sign in screen, which is where you will present the user, the person with the sign-in form, and you will capture their username and password. Typically what you capture there is their email address. Assuming that everything goes okay with the authentication, then you will take them to that landing zone that I mentioned earlier. That, if you will, home screen, which is where you will provide paths to the different features available to the user. Now, one thing that I want you to think about also here, and that should happen in the sign-in screen, is that you want to provide a path to reset the password. People sometimes forget their credentials for whatever reason. So in this screen here, your sign-in screen, you also want to provide a clear path to the password reset functionality of the app. And this is a very simple sign-in sequence for a mobile app. If you think about it, it's also applicable to any web app or any system. Let me drop a label here so we know what's happening in this area of the mockup. And I also want to describe the password reset workflow here. just so you have it documented for future projects. The first step that needs to happen in your password reset workflow is that you need to capture a unique piece of information, something that allows you to identify the user, and that you will in turn use to send them either an email or a text message with a special code that will allow them to reset their password. So you want to capture that email address, and you're probably familiar with this sequence because this is what happens when you forget your password to your banking site, when you forget your password to your email service. So they will ask you for your email address, for example, and they will send you an email with a special link that you can use to reset your password. So let's say I'm not going to name it this. I'm going to use well, actually, yeah, I think it's okay if we use a reset password screen as the name for this step. So again, there you capture email address, phone number, something that will allow you to send a message to the user with a special code that they can use to reset their password. Now, after that, you will tell them that you send them the message. This is what you want to have here, and you might choose to do it as a separate screen, or you might choose to do it inside or as part of the reset password screen, the screen where you capture the email address or the phone number. So this is just a message to the user that, hey, we sent you an email, check your inbox and use the link in the email to reset your password. Now, you can provide the password reset functionality, the part where the user enters their new password, as a web page that's outside your app. Or you might want to do it in-app. You might want to do it inside the app. Depends on your needs, but what is important there is that you know that you need to allow them to enter their new password, but you also need to verify that the person doing that is actually the person who requested the password reset. So in that step there, in the app or outside via a web page, you want to capture that code that you sent them. And this is what we are doing in this step here. So enter password reset code screen. And at that point, you have all the information that you need to reset the password, or to tell them, hey, you know, your new password doesn't pass the business rules when it comes to password strength and maybe other business rules that you have in the app for password validation. But after that, if everything is okay, what you want to do is tell them that you've reset their password. And this is what this step here means. So this would be the password reset sequence for the app. And this is all you need at this point. You have your sign-in on this side, and then you have your reset password functionality on this side. So we're ready then to start creating the wireframes, and let's start with the wireframes for the sign-in part of the the sequence. Okay, now we are ready to start creating the wireframes for the sign up workflow that we just diagrammed. So I will drop a mobile phone skin on the design surface, and I'll get started with the first screen in the sequence, which would be my welcome screen. So that's the area that you will use in the app to point people to the right path. Those who have already an account will go to the sign in steps. Those who don't have an account will go to the sign up steps. Okay, let's scroll down so you can see more of the screen. I'll drop a placeholder for the logo. Here we go. And then a couple of labels. Label 1 will say existing users. Label 2 will say don't have an account. And now a couple of buttons that will take people to the right places. So existing users, sign in. Those who don't have an account, sign up. And that's all there is to this step. Clear paths to each of the workflows that can happen from here. And next, we'll do the sign in screen. I'll just reuse this phone skin and the label. In this case, I want to simply say that this is the sign in screen. Or the logo from here. Label 1 in this case is going to say username, and frequently you'll find that it's okay to capture the email address of the person as the username, so that's what I will do here. And I'll drop also a text input to allow people to type in their email address. And then we will also capture the password. So we'll bring this button as well. Sign in. And I also want to add a couple of elements to this screen. The first one would be the one that will let people take care of this step. So you want to provide a path to the reset password workflow in the app. And for that, typically what you use is a link. I'll put it down here, and it's going to say forgot password ? That link will take people to this area that we created. And also, this is something that you might want to provide in your app, is a way for people to log in without having to enter their username and password after they've successfully logged in before. So I'll drop a checkbox here, and this is going to say remember me. What you want to do here is add logic in the app that when people check off this control, will capture a piece of information. It could be a hash of their credentials. It could be something else that will allow you to identify that person going forward. So next time they open the app, you will be able to take them straight into the landing zone, into the home page of the app. That's what you accomplished with this Remember Me checkbox. And one more thing that can happen in here is, well, what if you cannot validate their credentials? What if they made a mistake? What if it is someone who is entering the wrong credentials? You want to alert them to that fact. So in that case, you want to show a message on this same screen, or you want to use a separate screen where you show them an error message. I'll pick just this same screen and I will layer an alert on top of it. Let's label it as sign in failed, and then use a rectangle to create a small alert area on top of the other element on the screen. Here we go. I guess I can move it down a bit. I can say, I will use a label or a text block here. Sign in failed. Immediately below that heading, you'll put a message, friendly message explaining what happened. Remember, you have to make sure that here you don't divulge information that would make it easier for a hacker to break your app. And this will be it. Okay, let me change the background of this rectangle. So we have a better indication of this being an alert that sits on top of the rest of the elements on the screen. And I forgot my arrow here. And now that's it. That completes the steps that we wanted to perform during the sign-in. And we can move on to the reset password functionality. So now we can talk about the reset password functionality, which will start with a screen where you will capture the email address of the person who wants to reset their password. Let's talk about that for a minute. Typically, what you want to do when you are starting the sequence to reset the password is to send that person either an email message or a text message with instructions on how to reset the password. And the instructions will contain frequently a code that the person needs to use when they are entering their new password. And that's a piece of information that will allow you to identify the person and know that that's the right person. That's the person who actually submitted the request to reset their password. The process of resetting, or rather entering the new password, can happen inside the app via a screen that you will build inside the app, or outside the app through a web page that you need to build where people will enter their new password along with the code that you provided in that email message or in that text message. Depending on your needs, you will go one way or the other. You'll use an in-app approach where you have a screen where people can enter their new password, or you'll use a web page approach. If you use a web page approach, you have also the ability to send a link to that web page in the email message or in the text message that you send the person. And in that link, you can embed that special code that will allow you to identify the person. So let's go back to this first step. And here, what you want to do is you want to capture the email address of the person. Well, let's put it here. I will also, just so you see how you can make a more complex layouts here, I'll use a rectangle to create a small header area. So this resembles a mobile application with its header right here. Properties, I don't want a border, and I want to change the background, make it darker. Let's hide the inspector and drop the label for the header. Set password and a button that will say submit. Okay. Then back to those steps that I was describing a minute ago. Immediately after you send the message or the text message, email or text, you want to let that person know that there's a message on the way with instructions on how to reset their password, where they need to go to enter their new password. I want this to be left aligned. And I want to say here, we sent you a message that explains how to enter your new password. This is not the friendliest of messages, but you get the idea. Okay, maybe I want to say check your inbox, so you can remember what this is about. Okay, hide the inspector again. Scroll to the right, and that's the second step. What needs to happen after that is that people go to their inbox, check the instructions. You send them either a link or verbal instructions on how to go to a place, which can be a web page, it can be inside the app. If it is inside the app, you would immediately show a screen where they can enter the code along with a new password, and that's what I am going to do here. I don't want to use this. I want to use this one because it already has a text input. And here, let's create two more input elements. This is the control for the code, input for the code. This is the input for the password, the new password. And this is where you confirm the new password. Okay, again, this can be inside the app or through a web page, but essentially you need to capture the code that will tell you that that's the right person and the new password. Let's not forget the labels on top of these screens. Okay. Then one more for this one. This would be enter new password, and one last step is where you would confirm. You would tell them that their new password is active now. I'll do one more screen here. And, thank you. Password has been, or we've reset your password. Reset your password. This is good. And sign in. So you are providing a path here to the sign in screen after they've reset their password. I think that's what you want to have. This very simplified password reset sequence. Reset confirmed. And we're done. Let me zoom out just so you can see more of what's happening here, the entire process. Again, we talked about welcome area, that's your welcome screen, sign up or sign in paths to both signing up or signing in. Oh, look at this. I had left a sign up there. It should be sign up and sign in. A sign in screen here, then sign in failed, which is where you tell them that there was a problem. Back to in the sign in screen, a clear path to resetting the password, and also a way to implement or activate the Remember Me feature. Over in the reset password, you want to capture email address. You want to then send an email message. If you choose to send a text message, then you would need to capture the phone number, and it needs to be a valid phone number, so you have to have that number in the database for the app. Then you want to tell the person that you've sent them instructions on what they need to do next. Then you provide a way to enter the new password along with the special code that allows you to identify that that person was indeed the one requesting the password reset. This can happen in the app, like I show you here, or through a web page. And last, you want to have your confirmation that the password was reset. That's all there is to it. If you have any questions, if you have any comments on this tutorial, head over to miamicoder.com. There will be an article there with this video and you'll find the comments section where you can enter your ideas and observations. That's all I have for you today. Until next time, I'll see you in the next tutorial. Bye.